Alright, welcome everybody to the flats video. Today we are going to discuss how to play flats and how they are slightly different than sharps and how we can put those together in our songs. So first off, here's just a quick little thing of some rules to remember. The nice thing about flats is almost every rule that we learn from sharps is going to be reapplied to the flats. So let's just review a few of those. First off, here's the first difference though that we do have with flats. So the flat lowers the note by 1 fret. The sharps that we had earlier, we're going to raise the note by 1 fret, and so now we're going to do the opposite with flats by lowering it by 1 fret. And a nice easy way to help people remember and students remember that the flat it goes lower, just remember that that's what the word flat means, is to go lower or go down. So think of a flat tire goes lower or goes down, or a flat basketball or something like that goes down when it's flat. That can really help people to remember where the flats are, how the flats work. So the rest of the rules are pretty much the same from sharps. We also put flats to the left of the note they are changing. Flats affect all of the same note name. Flats can be canceled with a natural symbol. Flats can also be canceled by going to a new measure. In other words, all the rules that are applied to sharps will also be applied to flats. So let's take a look at some examples of how the flats would work. So first off, this first note here that we have without the flat would be 3rd string, 2nd fret. Once we add the flat, then we would play 3rd string, 1st fret. So again, 2nd fret, lowered down to the 1st fret. Here's another example. Without the flat, this would be played 4th string, 2nd fret. And with the flat, we're now on the 4th string, 1st fret. Once again, we lowered from the 2nd fret to the 1st fret. Alright, here's our last example. This note without the flat would normally be played 5th string, 2nd fret, and with the flat now, it would be 5th string, 1st fret. Alright, we're getting to the open strings. So, now we have open strings and flats. They are a pain for the guitar. Sharps are definitely easier, and we do prefer sharps over flats, but again, I just tell the kids, we have to deal with them because they exist, they're out there, we can't not do it, or we don't want to not learn them and kind of cut out some of the music we can play. Now the unfortunate thing about most of the flats is the most common ones are the 1st and 2nd string open, so we do need to discuss how those play. Because an open string technically cannot be lowered by 1 fret, we need to look at a replacement for the note that can be flat. So in other words, instead of playing the 1st string open, we need to find a way to play that same note but on a place where we use a finger or we use a fret that we can play and then lower it from there. So this can be kind of confusing for students, so sometimes the best thing I do is just tell them memorize where they're being played. Alright, so take a look here. This flat version of the 1st string open is technically played on the 2nd string, 4th fret. And that is because there's a version of the 1st string open on the 2nd string, 5th fret. So many of you know from tuning, if you go to the 2nd string, 5th fret and put a finger there, and compare it to the 1st string open, they are technically the same note. So when we play notes, that's a note that we can sub in or replace for the 1st string open, and because it's played on the 5th fret or with a finger, then I can easily then lower it down to the 4th fret from there. So sometimes helping explain that to students will help them understand why it's the 2nd string, 4th fret, or some kids really want to know. So I go through that, but again, I reinforce, like, you know what, if that's too confusing or don't understand that, then just go ahead and memorize that it's the 2nd string, 4th fret, and just move on from there. Now the same thing can be said for the 2nd string open. Okay, so if we play the 2nd string open flat, it's supposed to be 3rd string, 3rd fret. So there is a version of the 2nd string open on the 3rd string, 4th fret. Again, when we use an option of tuning, we can go to the 3rd string, 4th fret, compare that to the 2nd string open. They are technically the same exact note. So you can sub in that note as a replacement, and then because that's playing on the 4th fret, we can flat it down to the 3rd fret. Or just memorize 3rd string, 3rd fret. Again, if that process of how we get the notes flatted that way is difficult, just memorize them from a handout. Alright, that's the basics of how to play flats. Goodbye.